Today, I'll be guiding you through the step-by-step process of applying for a K-1 Fiancé Visa. Whether you're embarking on a new journey with your international love, or you're just curious about the process, stick around to learn all about it. Hi, I'm SohYoon Atac. I'm an attorney and one of the founders of SimVisa. Our channel is about US law, immigration, and other related topics like travel and some cultural insights. If this is of interest to you and you want to know more about how the law can better serve you, please subscribe. Also, if you find this helpful, please like the video and comment below as we often check those for future videos. What is a K-1 Fiancé Visa? Basically, the K-1 Fiancé Visa allows a foreign fiancé of a US citizen to travel to the United States for the purpose of marrying. And then once here and married, the foreign fiancé can then apply for a green card, or as we call it, apply for adjustment of status to become a permanent resident of the United States. Before we dive into the process, it's crucial to understand whether you're eligible. So first of all, both of you must be legally free to marry each other. So if one of you is going through or is in the middle of the process of divorce, then you would not be free to marry, and hence you guys would not be able to go through with this process or be eligible at this moment. Also, if you are already married to each other, then you are no longer fiancés and you're not free to marry each other because you're already married. And so then you would be looking towards an immigrant visa based on marriage, and this would not be appropriate for you. So again, both of you must be legally free to marry. You must have met your fiancé in person within the last 2 years. Typically, this is not an issue, but sometimes it can be an issue, such as during the pandemic, we saw couples having a difficult time seeing each other in person. Also nowadays, many couples may meet initially online or initially communicate through means that are, not in person, but, different means. But again, in order to qualify to go through the fiancé visa process, you must have met each other in person within the last 2 years. Now, having said that, there are a couple of exceptions, and that would be if there's extreme hardship or if it would violate long-standing cultural norms, but that's probably for a separate topic. But again, instead of diving into those, your probably best bet is to make sure that you're meeting each other within the last 2 years. Lastly, the petitioner must be a US citizen. So if the petitioner is a permanent resident, then there is not a possibility to apply for a K-1 Fiancé Visa for the foreign fiancé. So the petitioner must be a US citizen. Assuming the eligibility requirements are met, step number 1 is to prepare and file the form I-129F, petition for alien fiancé, along with all the supporting documents. This is filed with USCIS, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services of the US Department of Homeland Security. So the purpose of the form is to show that this is a genuine relationship, a genuine fiancé relationship, and not one entered into just for immigration benefits, but that you have a real marriage. So it's really important to have all the supporting evidence that would show that you're engaged in a real relationship and a real engagement. Some of this can include things like, communications records, or, and of course you must include evidence of having met in person within the last 2 years, as well as if you've already commingled some of your finances, or if you've had engagement ceremonies, or whatever it may be. But it's really important to provide a compelling case to the officer about the genuineness of your fiancé relationship. Also, of course, make sure that you're sending it to the proper address at USCIS, as well as paying the proper filing fees and all that stuff. So once it's filed, you will be receiving a receipt notice that'll have what's called the receipt number. It'll state the date that it was received at USCIS. And so that's the notice that you will have to be able to check on the status of your case, because the next step is to, unfortunately, wait a while for the case to be adjudicated. So while you're waiting, by the way, at any point, USCIS could issue a request for evidence. We call that an RFE for short, where they may, ask for specific additional information. And if you get an RFE, then of course, make sure, you thoroughly respond in one response, everything they're asking for, and make sure you do it within the allotted time slot so you don't pass the deadline. once the case, the I-129F, is approved by USCIS, they'll send that over to the Department of State. So it's going from Homeland Security to the US Department of State. And it first lands at the National Visa Center. And from there, the National Visa Center will forward it on to the applicable embassy or consulate. Typically, it doesn't take too long for the case file from being approved, the I-129F by USCIS, to go then to the Department of State through the MVC and then to end up at the consulate where your fiancé will interview. So it's really important that from the moment of that approval to pay close attention so you're not missing any communications from the consulate. Unlike the immigrant visa, the procedures can be somewhat different from consulate to consulate. So again, it makes really, it's critical to pay attention to the consulate's communications and their instructions, check their website, and make sure you're doing everything that they're asking for. Now, typically, the next step is to apply for the K-1 Fiancé Visa by filing the form DS-160. And it's a little confusing because the DS-160 is the online non-immigrant visa form. And some of the questions on that form are geared, of course, towards making sure that the person applying is not intending to travel to the US and then stay there, but that they're going to return. Now, of course, you are intending to come to the United States and marry and apply for a green card. So it seems like it's not a real match, but this is the proper form. It's the DS-160 non-immigrant visa form that you must complete. So once you complete the form, in most places you should be able to select your interview date. Unfortunately, since the pandemic, a lot of consulates are backed up with interview dates, so they're not as readily available as they were certainly before the pandemic. So for some of our clients, it's been almost a bit of a mad game to constantly check to see if the consulate has released new interview dates that they can snag and claim for their K-1 Fiancé Visa interview. So again, make sure you follow the instructions and make sure you're able to schedule through whatever procedure the consulate prescribes your K-1 Fiancé Visa interview. And so once you have the interview date, you'll of course pay the visa fee, and then it's really exciting because you have the date. And now during the waiting time, you prepare for that interview. If you found this helpful, please like the video, and for more like it, please subscribe. Also, feel free to leave any comments below, as like I said, we definitely check those for future videos.